on this episode, you'll learn everything you need to know about the first 24 to 48 hours after you've been discharged from the hospital with your newborn, but before you see your pediatrician, okay? So now you're home. There are no nurses, no call button, no doctor answering all your questions. Just you, maybe your spouse or your partner, and this tiny human that you've just birthed. Now, if you're thinking, should I know everything at this point? You're in the right place. This episode is for you. Welcome to the Dr. Amaka Namani Show, where we focus on preparation over perfection. Now, let's get right into the episode. So we're going to talk about a few things today, including feeding, sleep, and just the most important things you need to know in those times before you've seen your pediatrician. Now, I may have mentioned this a little bit on the last episode, but I remember with our first daughter, who is now 14 years old, I remember us coming home with her, putting her in her car seat on the floor, and I remember looking at my husband and him looking right back at me, and he said, "Now what?" And I'm thinking, I don't know. I mean, I was a first-year pediatrics resident. I was clueless. Nothing really prepares you for this, right? So in this episode, we'll talk about some of those things that you need to just know to prep yourself for your first pediatrician visit, but also to help you feel empowered as a new parent, okay? The most important thing all of us I know want to know is feeding. How do I know that my child is getting enough food, whether it be breast milk preferably or formula, right? And the most important thing to know is that babies will cluster feed in the first few days after birth, right? So for babies who are breastfed, they will most likely feed at least 8 to 12 times in the 24-hour period. I actually usually say 10 to 12 times in the 24-hour period. Now, it is normal for your baby to lose weight in those first 3 to 5 days of life. We usually don't want the babies losing more than 10% of their birth weight, though. So a lot of moms will find that their baby just eats, poops, and they're ready for more. There is nothing wrong with you, your baby, or the milk. Now, for babies who are formula fed, what we've found sometimes is that the formula holds them for longer periods of time. So these babies may be able to stay well fed for about 3 hours at a time. For babies who are fed with breast milk, it usually kind of goes within that 2-hour type of range before they get hungry again, right? And in those first couple days before you see your pediatrician, how do you know your baby's getting enough milk? Is usually the number of wet diapers they're making. We don't want to see babies making less than at least 4 wet diapers in the 24-hour period. Most babies will make a lot more diapers than 4, but that's about the minimum we usually want to see around this time, okay? And their poops will also change color. It's a lot of times it starts with a really black tarry stools, a lot of times sticky, which is still getting rid of the meconium, but as the days progress, it starts to get a little dark brown with the goal of having it be about mustard yellow seedy, especially in breastfed babies. Now we'll talk about sleep. Babies don't really have a circadian rhythm when they're born, right? So they don't really know the difference between night and day. And so they're dependent on us as moms and dads to help them set their rhythm. And so typically what I'll tell a lot of my patients is during the daytime, it's okay to go about your normal activity, right? Like open the blinds, use your normal talking voice. And then when it starts to get to evening or bedtime, like in your household, I usually say, close the shutters or the blinds, dim the lights, use your level 1 voice, and start to establish a routine, right? So maybe something like, feeding the baby, bath time, reading to your baby, and then putting your baby to sleep, right? Again, it takes several weeks for this to happen, to help them set their circadian rhythm, but this is one thing you can do early on in those days to help them. Now, it's important where they sleep. The babies need to sleep on a firm surface. So whether it's a bassinet or a playpen or a nice fancy crib, there needs to be nothing in the crib besides your baby. So if your baby has a onesie, that's okay, but no blankets or a nice crib, decorative stuff. We don't need any of that. Your baby just needs to be on a firm surface on their back. This reduces the chances of SIDS, which is sudden infant death syndrome, right? And we don't want to be co-sleeping with the baby either. Right, so safe sleep is important. We've talked about feeding, we've talked about their sleep. And very importantly, Mom, you matter. I cannot overemphasize this. You start to get a little bit of an emotional crash, your adrenaline wears down. In those first 24, maybe 48 hours, you feel like, oh my goodness, I can fly, I can do it all. And then all of a sudden you get a crash. It's all okay. Validate your feelings, right? It's okay to feel confused. It's okay to feel clueless, right? Because really, parenting doesn't come with a manual, right? It's okay to ask for help, and most importantly, to accept it. If you have other children in the home, ask for help from your partner. If you have a close friend or neighbors or family members that are willing to come and help with taking up those chores, this is a time to really accept all of that. It's important that you sleep when your baby sleeps, and that you drink a lot of water and make sure you're eating enough so you're taking care of your body's, the things that your body needs. I also am a very big proponent of therapy. So if you're able to get yourself a therapist, whether you have a diagnosis of anxiety, depression or not, motherhood comes with a lot of responsibility, a lot of which is new to us, right? And so it's okay to ask for help, for professional help even. And always remember, you are the best baby, the best mother for your baby. So in our very next episode, we'll talk about what you need to know to prep for your first pediatrician visit. What kinds of questions should you be asking? What does your pediatrician want to know? But until then, remember, this is where we focus on preparation over perfection, and you are the best mom. Until then, toodles.